right, this is the study guide for Algebra 2, Unit 5, Algebraic Fractions. So we're going to start with problem number 1. They want you to type this using only positive exponents. So you need to combine your exponents, combine your variables. When you divide, you subtract, and you're going to subtract to whatever side has the bigger number. All right, check your numbers first. 36 and 5, they cannot be reduced in any way, so we'll just leave them. All right, you have x to the power of -4 or x to the power of 2. Now 2 is bigger than -4. So that means you're going to bring the -4 down and subtract. So it's going to be x to the power of 2 minus -4. All right, y to the power of 2 and y to the power of -3. So 2 is bigger. We're going to leave it up here. 2 minus -3. And z, you have z to the power of 0 or z to the power of -2. 0 is bigger, so that means we're going to put it on top. 0 minus -2. Now you'll notice they all say minus negative, which means you're actually going to add them. So you're going to have 36. 2 minus -3 is 2 plus 3, y to the power of 5. Z, 0 plus minus -2 means z to the power of positive 2. And on bottom, you're going to have 5, and then x to the power of 2 minus -4, which means 2 plus 4 is 6. The final answer will be 36 y to the 5th z squared over 5x to the 6th. Problem number 2, we have a division problem. P squared minus q squared over p plus q divided by p plus q over p minus q. All right, so remember, you can't just cancel out numbers. You can't cancel out p and p because these are binomials. All right, also remember, in division you have to invert the second problem, but we need to factor any. These are lowest terms, all three of these, but this one's not. This one is a difference of 2 squares. If you can recognize these, it will help you a lot. It's just p squared minus q squared. They both have a square root. It's called the difference of 2 squares. It factors to p plus q and p minus q. All right, on bottom here you have p plus q, and then this one has to be inverted. So it's going to be, now it's going to be times p minus q over p plus q. So flip it upside down. Now you can cancel everything you can. You can cancel this p plus q with this p plus q, but that's all you can do. All right, so what you have left is p minus q and p minus q. That means you have p minus q squared, or you have it twice over p plus q. All right, problem number 3. It's a multiplication problem. Now, don't get mixed up on these. Multiplication and division do not have to have a common denominator, all right? So don't think you just got to factor all of these to lowest terms. All right, so problem number 3, you need to factor the trinomial on top of the first fraction, a squared plus 3a minus 18a. Now this one's simpler because there's no coefficient on the first term, so it's just going to be a and a. But then we need to think, what are our factors of 18 that are going to add or subtract to 3? So my factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. So the ones that are going to add or subtract to 3 are 3 and 6. So we're going to put a 3 in here and a 6 in here. And then we want a positive 3. That means our bigger number needs to be positive, and we're going to subtract the smaller. All right, on bottom, again, another factoring. And again, no coefficient on the first term, which just means it's going to be a and a. And then our factors of 6 that are going to add or subtract to make 5. So 1 and 6, 2 and 3. So 2 and 3 add to 5, right? And this is a minus plus, which means they're both going to be minus. And you can just put the 2 and the 3 in there. All right? Second fraction, on top, there's no squared. There, it can't be factored, but 5 is in both of them. So, sorry, the 5 can be factored out, but you're not going to factor to 2 binomials. The 5 is going to come out, and it's going to leave you with a plus, minus, right? A minus 2. All right? And on bottom, let me erase these. On bottom, you have a squared minus 36. So that's another one of the difference of 2 squares, right? So the square root of a squared is a, and the square root of 36 is 6, and that's going to factor to two binomials, a plus 6 and a minus 6. Start recognizing those, and it will help you a lot. All right, now we can cancel everything that matches in here. We have an a minus 2 and a minus 2. We have an a plus 6 and a plus 6, an a minus 3 and an a minus 3. So what we're left with is the 5 over a minus 6. All right, don't freak out. I know it's a long problem, but you can do it. All right, so we got to factor all these trinomials down to two binomials and see what we end up with. Let's remember when we get to here and we factor these, we do have to flip it over so that it is multiplication. All right, so the first term, unfortunately, this one has a coefficient, so we need to have our factors of 2, which are 1 and 2, and our factors of 15, which are 1 and 15, 3 and 5, and we have to make 7 in the middle. This time we have to multiply 2 and multiply the other 2, then add or subtract. In this case, we want to go 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 1 is 3, and 10 minus 3 is 7. That's the number we're looking for. So we're going to use these factors and these factors, all right? These are your first terms. So they're going to go 2y and 1y. And then what do we want to multiply the 2 by? We want to multiply the 2 by the 5, right? So it's got to go all the way over here, right? And the 3 is going to go here. Now we want a negative 7, which means our bigger number, which is 10, needs to be negative and add the 3. All right? Bottom, we have our factors of 3, are 1 and 3 and 1 and 3. We know that. And that's what we have for here and here. 1 and 3, 1 and 3. And we need an 8. So that means we can't multiply 3 times 1 and 3 times 1. We got to go 3 times 3 and 1 times 1. So 9 minus 1 is 8. So we're going to have a 3y and a 1y. And then we need to multiply the 3 by the 3. So the 3's got to go all the way over here, and the 1's going to come here. We want a negative 8. So that means our bigger number, which is 9, is going to be negative, and we're going to add 1. So negative 9 plus 1 is 8. This is a y. All right. Middle. These are 2. You see the middle term is missing, and they both have a square root. 9 has a square root of 3, and 1 has a square root of 1. Same thing on bottom. 4 has a square root of 2. 9 has a square root of 3. So we're looking at two perfect squares here, a difference of two squares. 3y plus 1 and 3y minus 1. Also, 2y plus 3 and 2y minus 3. All right, last one. On the top, it's actually going to go on the bottom when we write it here. There's no coefficient on the first term, which makes it a little bit easier. We know it's just going to be y and y. And then what are our factors of 10 that add or subtract to 3? It's going to be 5 and 2, right? 5 minus 2 is 3. So we're going to put a 5 in here and a 2 in here. And we need a positive 3. So we're actually going to do a positive 5 minus 2. All right, last, our factors of 2 are going to be 1 and 2, and our factors of 9 are going to be 3 and 3, right? So 1 and 2, 1 and 9, 3 and 3. And we need a 9 in the middle. So we're going to go, it's a negative positive, so they're both going to be negative. So it's going to be 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, 6 minus 3, or 6 plus 3 is 9. All right, so these are your first terms. You're going to have a 2y and a 1y. And then you're going to go the 2 times the 3 and 3 here, and they're both going to be negative. All right, now cancel everything that you can. You have a 2y plus 3 here and a 2y plus 3. We have a 3y plus 1 and a 3y plus 1. We have a y minus 3, y minus 3. 2y minus 3 and 2y minus 3. All right, so what's left is going to be a y minus 5 times 3y minus 1 over y plus 5, y minus 2. Good Lord, that was a big old long problem. Problem number 5, they want to know, find the lowest common denominator. Well, this denominator has a plus 1 twice. So that means it has a plus 1 and a plus 1. This one has a minus 1 twice. A minus 1, a minus 1. And this one is a squared minus 1, which factors to a plus 1, a minus 1. To make these match without taking anything away, they're both going to have 2 a plus 1s and 2 a minus 1s. So the common denominator is going to be a plus 1 squared and a minus 1 squared. All right, number 6, they want you to simplify. All right, so we need a common denominator. They're just asking us to add, so we're not canceling the denominator. We're just multiplying by it. And surprisingly, the common denominator of 3, 7, and 5 is 105, which I thought was pretty intense. All right, so we need to know, what do I have to multiply 3 by to make it equal 105? So let's just do 105 divided by 3 would be 3,915, 35 times. So if I multiply the bottom by 35, I gotta multiply the top by 35. All right, how many times does 7 go into 105? 105 divided by 7, 1, 7, 3, 5, 5. 15 times. I gotta multiply the top by 15 and the bottom by 15. And 5 into 105. Oops. 2, 10, 1. 21 times. Gotta multiply it by 21. All right, so 35 times y is 35y. Now that's over 105. Plus 15 times y over 105 plus 21y over 105. Now they all have a common denominator and we can add them. So add 15y plus 21y plus 35y over 105. Problem number 7 is negative x minus y plus x squared plus y squared over x minus y. So we have a whole number, which means it's not a fraction, it's over 1, plus a fraction. Now, when you do this, you only have one denominator. So x minus y is your common denominator. You just have to multiply this by x minus y. So to get the denominator, you have to multiply by x minus y, and then add x squared plus y squared. I just put it at the bottom. And now it's all over the denominator of x minus y. This is a binomial times a binomial. So we'll have to do FOIL method here to get this problem. So negative x times x is negative x squared. Negative x times negative y is actually plus xy, because two negatives make a positive. Let me write this right. So negative x squared plus xy. All right, inner is a negative y times x, so negative xy. All right, and then outer is plus y squared. I have to multiply these, plus x squared, plus y squared. All right, now we got to combine like terms. Now this says negative x squared plus x squared, so those eliminate. And you have xy minus xy, so those eliminate. So all you're left with is y squared plus y squared, which gives you 2y squared over your denominator of x minus y. All right, problem number 8, we have another addition and subtraction problem. So we have to have a common denominator. The problem with this is that it's 1 over a plus b plus 4 over b minus 8 over a plus b minus 11a minus 5b over b squared minus a squared. So you can see half of them are a minus b or a plus b, and the others are b minus a, which is not the same as a plus b. So we want to flip all of these to be a minus b or a plus b rather than b and a. So what you have to do is change the sign or multiply by negative 1. So I'm going to rewrite it up here having multiplied by negative 1. So this one's fine. We're going to leave it the same. 1 over a minus b. This one is backwards. So what you got to do is change this sign right here. It was plus, now it's going to be minus 4 over, and now it's going to be A minus B rather than B minus A. This one's fine. We're going to leave it minus 8 over A minus B. And this last one, it was negative. We're going to change it to be plus 11A minus 5B over A squared minus B squared. Now, we need to decide on our common denominator. Remember, this is the perfect square. A squared minus B squared factors to A plus B, A minus B. So that is actually your common denominator, A plus B and A minus B. So this one, your first fraction only has A minus B. That means we got to multiply it by A plus B. And if we multiply the bottom by A plus B, we got to multiply the top by A plus B. This one has A minus B. So we got to multiply it by A plus B. That means we have to multiply the top by A plus B. All right, this one has A minus B, so we're going to multiply by A plus B on top and on bottom. All right, and the last fraction has the whole denominator, so we're going to leave it the same. All right, so let's do our multiplication on top. 1 times A is A, 1 times B is B. Next, we have watch this sign right here, negative 4 times A is going to give you a negative 4A. Negative 4 times B is going to give you a negative 4B. All right, this negative again, negative 8 times A is negative 8A. Negative 8 times B is negative 8B. And then last, we have plus 11A minus 5B. And this is now all over A plus B and A minus B. All right, now to combine our like terms, we have A minus 4A, which is a negative 3A, minus 8. So 3 and 8 is negative 11 plus 11. So all of those cancel. Next, we have I wrote this wrong. This one should have been A plus B, which would make this A minus B. And when you do that, negative 8 times would be negative 8A, but negative 8 times negative B would be positive 8B. All right. So we canceled all our A's out. Now we're going to combine our B's. We have B minus 4B, which is a negative 3B, plus 8 would give you a positive 5B minus 5. 5 minus 5 is nothing, so the B's also canceled out, and you're left with 0 over A squared minus B squared. 0 divided by anything is 0. Your answer is 0. Number 9. We have a complex fraction. That means we have an addition problem on top, a subtraction problem on bottom, and then it's a division problem. So we have to rationalize with our denominators first. So 1 plus A over B. So our common denominator is B because it's the only denominator in here. So we got to multiply the 1 times B. So it ends up B times 1 is B plus A over B. And on bottom, B squared is our denominator. So this is going to be divided by B squared times 1 is B squared minus A squared over B squared. Now we've taken care of our addition and subtraction problems. Now we need to invert and multiply B plus A over B times B squared over B squared minus A squared, which is going to factor to B plus A and B minus A because it's a difference of 2 squares. And then cancel out what you can, B plus A, and 1B can cancel here, right? So you're left with B over B minus A. And number 10, we're going to move on to some equations with fractions. You see here, we actually have an equal sign in this problem. A over 6 minus 10 equals A over 3. So we're actually going to eliminate our denominators and solve for our variable, which is an A. So that means we need to multiply the whole equation by our common denominator. The common denominator of 6 and 3 is 6. So 6 goes into 6 one time. 1 times A is A. 6 times 10 is 60. And 3 goes into 6 twice. 2 times A is 2A. All right, so just solve for A. Leave your negative 60 right here. And this A is going to move over and subtract. 2A minus A leaves 1A. A equals negative 60. All right, number 11. We have fractions, fractions, fractions. All right, so our common denominator of 3, 6, and 4 is 12. Now, as long as these things are in parentheses here, we do not have to multiply the common denominator by that. So if 12 right here, we end up with 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. Let me write it up here so we have some more room. It would be 8, and then you just leave what's in parentheses, y plus 2. All right? 6 goes into 12 twice. So 2 times 5 will be a negative 10 times y minus 1. And equals, is that our equal sign right there? Equals, 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15 times y minus 3. And then we do have to go 12 times 4, which is our only whole number in it. 4 times 12 is 48. All right, so we need to do our distributive property here. 8 times y is 8y. 8 times 2 is 16. Pay attention to the negative. Negative 10 times y is going to give you a negative 10y. Negative 10 times negative 1 gives you a positive 10. Equals 15 times y is 15y. 15 times negative 45. Negative 3 is negative 45 minus 48. Now let's combine our like terms on either side of the equation. We have 8y minus 10y, gives you a negative 2y, and 16 plus 10, which is 26, equals 15y. Negative 45 minus 48 is going to give you a negative 93. All right, now put all your like terms on either side of the equation. So we'll leave our 26 right here and bring the 93 over. It was negative. So on this side, we're going to add 93. Over here, we already have 15y, and we're going to add the 2y. So add your like terms and then divide, and you'll have the answer. Problem number 12. Again, it's an equation with fractions. So we need to multiply by our common denominator. The common numeral is 20, because 4 times 5 is 20. And then there's an x. So our common denominator is 20x. We would have to make them all equal 20x. So 4 goes into 25 times. So 5x times 1 is 5x. The x cancels, so 20 times 1 is 20. Equals 5 goes into 24. 4x times 1 is 4x. The x cancels. 20 times 3 is negative 60. So you just need to combine your like terms and solve for x. In this problem, we have a fraction equals fraction. That means you can do, it's a proportion. Cross multiply, and you can solve for x. So you have to cross multiply these two. 2x plus 5 times x minus 1 equals 2x plus 3 times x plus 3. And you'll want to do your FOIL method on both of these. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 1 is a negative 2x. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 1 is negative. Right, and 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 3 is 6x. 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 3 is 9. All right, when you have 2x squared and 2x squared on opposite sides of the equation, it means they cancel because 2x will subtract. As long as they have the same sign, they're going to eliminate. Now combine your like terms on either side of the equation. So you have negative 2 plus 5, negative 2x plus 5x is going to be 3x. Then you have minus 5 equals 6x plus 3x is 9x. plus 9. All right, so combine your like terms. You're going to go 9 minus 3 over here, which gives you 6x, and negative 5 plus 9, negative 5 minus 9, which is a negative 14. Where's my paper? Negative 14 divided by 6 is your answer. Negative 14 over 6, which reduces if you reduce it to negative 7 over 3. Problem number 14. Again, we have to have a common denominator, and 2 minus x, x minus 2, and x squared minus 4, which is a difference of 2 squares, so this is going to factor to x plus 2, x minus 2. So your common denominator is x plus 2, x minus 2. This one is backwards. So the same thing, we're going to times by negative 1, and that'll change us to a negative 2 right here, and flip this around to be x minus 2. X minus 2. All right, so your common denominator is x plus 2, x minus 2. So let's multiply by our common denominator because this is a fractional equation, x plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 2, x minus 2. All right, so this one, the x minus 2 cancels, so what you need to multiply this by is x plus 2. In this case, the x plus 2 cancels, so what you have to multiply this by is the x minus 2. And then this one has all the denominators, so it doesn't have to be multiplied by anything. So do your multiplication. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 equals 2x. All right, let's combine our like terms. We have negative 2x plus 3x is positive x. Negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10 equals 2x. And then to solve for x, we'll just move this x to this side. It'll be 2x minus x. So negative 10 equals x. All right, that was problem number 14. 15 switches, where was that 15? Number 15 switches to word problems, all right? So on problem number 15, it's a work problem. It says one pipe can fill a tank in 24 minutes, a second can fill it in 16, and a third pipe can fill it in 12. If the tank is empty, how long will the 3 pipes operating together take? So work problems are actually really simple. You put 1 over each amount of time, 1 over 24, working together with 1 over 16, working together with 1 over 12. How much time? And you would put 1 over x. All right, so your common denominator here is going to be 48. 24 goes into 48 twice, 16 goes into 48 3 times, and 12 goes into 48 4 times. So your common denominator is actually going to be 48x. All right, so 24 goes into 48 twice. 2x times 1 is 2x. 16 goes into 48 3. 3 times x times 1 is 3x. And 12 goes into 48 4x times 1 is 4x. And then here the x cancels equals 48. So you need to add all these and then divide 48 divided by 3, it would be 9, right? 9x equals 48. So 4x equals 48 divided by 9. 9 goes into 48 5 times with 3/9, which is 5 1/3 minutes to work, all working together to fill the tank. Next, we have a mixture problem on problem number 16. How much orange juice at 48 cents a liter should be mixed with grapefruit juice worth 32 cents a liter to make 400 liters of a mixture worth 36 cents? So deal with your money first. You're going to mix 48-cent stuff, orange juice, with 32-cent grapefruit juice to make the mixture that's 36 cents. All right? And then what you know is the end result. We know at the end we need to have 400 liters. All right, if you know the end result, you call one of your amounts x, and the other one, the end result, minus x. Right? So times by 100, that'll move the decimal on all of these to behind the number. And so we don't have to deal with decimals anymore. Now we need to do our multiplication. We have 48x plus 32 times 400, which is 12800, minus 32x, because you got to go 32 times 400, 32 times that, to equal 36 times 400, which is 14,400. All right, so combine your like terms. 48x minus 32x equals 16x. 16x equals, and then over here you have 14,400, and you're going to minus the 12,800. Subtract those and divide by 16, and you'll have how many ounces would be in how much orange juice, because we're solving for x, and orange juice was 48 cents. So they want to know how much orange juice. When you solve for x, you'll have your answer. And problem number 17, the last problem. A man travels from town X to town Y at an average rate of 50 miles an hour and returns at an average rate of 30 miles an hour. He takes a half an hour longer than he would take if he made a round trip at an average of 40 miles an hour. Okay, so we have a distance problem. Remember, rate times time equals distance. Okay, so we're going there, back, and then there's also a round trip. Okay, so the rate there is 50 miles an hour. The rate back is 30 miles an hour. They want to know the distance is x, and then the round trip, if you went 40 miles an hour, would be twice the distance, so it's 2x. We're solving for time in this, okay? So if rate times time equals distance, then if we solve for time, then time equals distance divided by rate. So the time would be x over 50, x over 30, and x over 2x over 40. So the time there plus the time back would equal the round trip plus another half hour. The round trip, if you add a half hour, it would equal going this rate. All right, so there's our equation. We need a common denominator. So this could take a while to find your denominator. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it's 1,200. 1,200 is the common denominator of 50, 40, and 30. Ooh. So how many times does 50 go into 1,200? 50 goes into 1,200 24 times. So we have 24x, excuse me. 30 goes into 1,200 40 times. 30 goes into 4 times. And 40 goes into 1,230 times. But 30 times 2x is 60x. And then 2 goes into 1,200 600 times. So plus 600. So combine your like terms. This should be 60x. So you would have 24 plus 40, which is 64x equals 60x plus 600. And then you would move the 60 over and subtract, and then divide 600 by that last coefficient you have, all right? Do your very best. Make sure you know. Watch your signs on this test. It's tricky, but you can all do it.